Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja on Wednesday voided the impeachment of Phillip Shaibu as the Deputy Governor of Edo State. Justice Omotosho, while delivering judgment in the suit, ordered that Shaibu be reinstated to office because the Edo State House of Assembly failed to comply with due process in impeaching him. Justice Omotosho also set aside the appointment of the new Deputy Governor who replaced Shaibu. The court held that the allegation on which the House of Assembly based the impeachment proceedings was untenable in law and did not constitute gross misconduct. He ordered the Inspector General of Police to provide him with needed security to enable him to resume office and perform the duties of the office until the end of his tenure. In addition to restating Shaibu, the court ruled that he should receive his outstanding salaries and allowances dating back to April when he was removed from office as the Deputy Governor of the state. The court granted a permanent injunction effectively barring Governor Godwin Obaseki and the Edo State House of Assembly from interfering with Shaibu's ability to carry out his duties as Deputy Governor, thereby protecting his rights and responsibilities in the office. Recall that the State House of Assembly impeached Shuaibu on April 8, 2024. The rift between Shuaibu and his principal began when Obaseki declined to endorse Shuaibu's bid for governor. What is your take on this?
Chama, when this ruling came out yesterday, I have to source for better information. And I was glad I had one yesterday. Your excerpt talks about the reason alone. There's also a ground upon which the court decided to nullify the process. There was the process was pending in court. Remember when he was to appear before the committee, the panel? The panel asked the question whether there was a direct order for them not to proceed. The learned senior advocate who walked out of that panel said the court has asked that parties maintain the status quo.
Yes.
So what then do you want a direct specific order? And so that was also the ground the court held in nullifying the process. Ideally, the rule of law was intended to serve the society right. But we have now lived in a society where those who at a point in time see themselves as mighty, see the way to circumvent that process. Now the law has spoken. So the whole actions of the governor and the House of Assembly, including the panel, is now a nullity. But my problem is that, yes, Shuaibu may have gotten justice to the extent that he may have been reinstated. But what about the period at which he lost out, carry out the functions of that office? The law talks about payment of salaries and allowances. There were responsibilities other than the payments of those salaries and allowances that constitutionally allows him to carry on. There are oversight functions to see in some ministries that is to head. Those intellectual ideas for this period of time has been lost. Now, so if you are to reinstate all the emoluments and whatever, the functions, what about the embarrassment?
So there should have, the government should have paid damages.
Punitive damages, measures that the court ought to have taken. Further, with respect to restoring the law, we have taken some punitive measures to act as detriment to other. Yes, Section 188 provides the process for impeachment. That's why I said it doesn't start with the initiation. You can initiate, but it is not intended that because you have initiated, you must complete it and that the person must go. You can initiate upon getting to a level, the panel will say, no, there is nothing. The panel has the ability to say that the interpretation given, the conduct, they are alleged to be gross misconduct.
It's not
gross misconduct as interpreted by various Supreme Court authorities. And even the Constitution defines, I think subsection 6 of that section 188, defines what gross misconduct is. So we should let our politicians learn to the extent that where there is a clear provision of law, let's not circumvent it. Our actions will always come back to us, one way or the other. Yes, the court has spoken. There is an appeal.
Yes, I wanted to tell you that Obaseki has appealed that
they
judgment.
have appealed. And so the whole process, it happened in Kogi State during the last days of Yahya Bello, where they impeached the governor and brought in this person down, brought in the former deputy governor. That governor went to court. The court nullified the entire process, but it was a mere academic exercise because the term has elapsed. Same will happen to Shuaibu. While you are testing the waters in the court of law, your term is going. The highest the court will do is a grant of the allowance that the allowance be paid. But you cannot be restored
and reinstated to act in the capacity
for the number of years,
the deputy governor.
Number of weeks, number of months, number of years that you may have lost out. So let's our politicians learn that yes, no matter the powers you have, once the law is not in your side, please look for alternative means. Political
solution. All right. Now, what's your take on this?
I will just build my foundation on what you have laid. I agree in all fours. You know, because they say the basis, one of the basis, like I've not read the full judgment, but from my own findings, from one of the foundations upon which the judgment was given was that a court order was disobeyed. A court order was disobeyed. And, you know, the judges are always jealous of their orders, rulings, and judgments. And they will protect it like it's the last thing on earth. And so when you disobey their orders, then the consequences will come upon you. We have had plethora of examples, even in River State. You know, so when the process of impeachment was going, there was a court order asking parties to maintain status quo. Wait, let us hear these people prove it. But the panel went ahead. You know, and the court have said over time that whenever there is a court order, whether it is given wrongly or rightly, it must be obeyed until it is vacated. I'm drawing your mind to River State. It is happening. You know, so this is what happened in Edo State. Yes. No, he has said that there should be punitive measures. Absolutely agreed. I align with him. But I'm also going to add another thing. That should be solatium. Emotional damage that have been done to the person that has been, the wrong that has been done to the person. The emotion that the person should not only be paid damages for should not be paid salaries and his entitlement. Solatium should also be paid to such a person because you know these cases are I would like to use the word sui generis because as they are moving, when judgment is given and you have been removed, as they are moving, before you know it, you are about to do elections in Edo State. You will not go back, and then he must not have served, and probably if the case goes in his favor in appeal or and the Supreme Court, at that time the office has elapsed. General has elapsed. So what happens to him? So when you are paying him both his salaries and allowances and whatnot, in addition to punitive measures to those who disobey the law, there should be solatium to the person that it was wrong. And solatium is the emotional damages we pay to him, the trauma and all the facts he has gone through, the insult and the embarrassment, the disgrace should be monetized, paid in solatium, and there should be, in addition to it, punitive damages that has been advanced by my colleague.
Okay, so you're adding both the solatium and the punitive
exactly.
damage. That, to a large extent,
yes,
will ensure that Shaibu gets justice.
Yes,
and it will reduce the impact of the embarrassment and the pain he has gone
yes,
through.
and there will be a restraint to flagrant disobedience to orders of courts.
All right.
To serve as a little restraint.
All right.
But my worry is whether you add punitive measures, solatium, as my colleague has also already advanced, that money is state coffers, not from the actors.
So the actors will not really
at
feel
all.
the pain.
There is no feeling of that something.
That's why there is punitive damage.
Something has
left. Punitive. That's why there should be punishment for them. Those who disobey.
Something has left them. You're right. Now, if I sit as a speaker to preside over on unlawful proceedings, despite the orders of court. What can the law, giving progressive interpretations to some of these our rules? Now, the Supreme Court came with local government. I have argued that it was not based on law, but based on morality, and like my Lord Justice used. They said they used the progressive interpretation of those provisions. Going forward, not the law as it is or as it were. So if they can also be in a court of policy, the Federal High Court cannot do that. The Court of Appeal cannot do that. When it gets to the Supreme Court, being a court of policy, they should look for a way that the actors themselves should have a pinch of their illegal actions.
You're right.
If that is done, it will deter others.
It will serve as a deterrent.
Yes, to serve as a deterrent, so that other states will learn from the rulings or decisions of court.
Interesting.